So, getting started here. Hopefully you can see my screen here. If you can see my screen, just type in the little questions box, say yes, we can see your screen. And I'll just make sure you guys can see it. And I definitely pressed record here. Yes, got 100 yeses all at once. Awesome. Thank you guys. So I want to get started here and jump straight into this. Essentially, this webinar is about digestion. How the colon is affecting your overall health and vitality, what it means if you're experiencing constipation and how that leads to skin conditions, nasal congestion, headache, overall sickness and tiredness all together. And that really is the truth. The thing I'd like to start off by saying is that your body is essentially a system of tubes. Every cell of your body is a tube. It lets things in, it lets things out. Your skin, the largest organ that your body has, is a system of tubes. It's what's called cytophylactic. It lets things in, it lets things out. It protects you from certain chemicals and things of this nature. But essentially, it's a tubular structure. Your veins, thousands and thousands of miles of tubes running through your body. You can literally wrap all of those tubes around the earth. That's how many tubes of just veins and arteries are inside of your body. We have lymphatic nodules in a lymphatic system that's a series of tubes for eliminating waste. And even your teeth and your bones and everything inside of your body is a lattice structure of tubes. Everything is tubular. Your hair releases gases. That's a system of tubes. And when we really look at the largest tubular structure, that comes down to the alimentary canal, your digestive system, which starts at the mouth and runs about 10 meters or about 32 feet through the body, through your stomach, past the liver, past all these things, small intestine, large intestine, and out the back door. And really, the ancient Egyptians would say that this tube is either a river of life or a river of death, depending on what you're floating down that river. And I would also say depending on when you're floating things down that river. Because I believe personally, even if you're eating the healthiest food, like you could be eating a fully raw food diet, healthy organic foods out of the garden, steaming, cooking, and other things. But if you're eating too much and too often, you're not honoring your body's natural cycles. And that's one thing that we touched on before. I'm just going to bring this slide right up so for you guys to look at it. Honoring the body's natural cycles first and foremost is one thing I think is probably one of the most important things we can do for our health. And the reason being is we give the body time to detox from maybe the poisons that have been brought in. We give it time to optimally receive nutrition and to optimally assimilate that nutrition. Now, this is something I'll probably bring up in every webinar that I do, or in every question and answer session. It's going to come up because I truly believe that this is one of the most important aspects of our diet and our lifestyle in general. I would even go as far to say that if it doesn't matter what you eat, if you just, did honor these cycles, if that's the only thing you change, you would see your health improve. And the reason I can say that is, people eat really shocking diets. And I mean, you really look at it, the American lifestyle, even Western Australian lifestyle, different lifestyles where people are massively overweight. People are eating toxic foods that aren't even food, in my opinion, with preservatives, artificial colors, artificial sweeteners, all kinds of different things that I don't even consider food. If you look at the definition of food, I don't even think it fits in. People eating plastic, hydrogenated oils, and things of that nature. Now, even though people are doing all of these, in my opinion, disgusting things to their own bodies and their own health, if they were to limit it to specific times, I believe, and you got to look at it, these people living these lifestyles for 20, 30, 50, 60 more years, the body is an amazing organism with the ability to adjust to its environment and adjust to even a lot of the toxic things that we do to ourselves. It's a fantastic organism. So if people just honored these times, at least it would allow the body to detox from all of that stuff and allow the body to optimally assimilate any nutrition that's actually coming in. So I think that this is a very key factor when it comes to optimal digestion, because you're just giving your body the right amount of time. If you give your body the amount of time to assimilate, the amount of time to detoxify and work and do its job, obviously things are going to move, things are going to flow, your body's going to have time to catch up, your body's going to have time to heal, and it will adjust to whatever environment that you're doing. So, we have a lot of people that are like, well, Tyler, paleo is the best because of this and this and this. And well, Tyler, this diet over here, raw veganism is the best because of this and this and this. And you have people in all these different camps and promoting all these different things. And really what it comes down to is our body is a fantastic organism that has the ability to not only survive, but thrive given the right conditions and the right types of environment. So I'd like to say that's number one. And then, yes, I also believe that there are optimal foods for helping to move waste out of the system. Fibers and things, and fibers come from only plants, just so you know. Fibers, there's 7 different kinds of fiber, and these fibers move through our bodies and eliminate what's called plaque, which are accumulations of toxicities within the digestive system, within the lymphatic system, within the circulatory system. These fibers get everywhere throughout the body. A lot of people may think that, when you eat fiber, it's just in your colon. That's not actually the case. There are minuscule levels of different kinds of fibers that have the ability to clean out lipofuscin, even plaque within the brain, just by drinking and adding lemon juice to your water. There's little tiny fibers in plants that have the ability to clean the lymphatic system, which is all the waste, clean out even the brain, clean out the circulatory system. I've seen this with grapefruits. For many, 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 many years, people have come with high blood pressure, with plaque within the arteries, atherosclerosis, and all these sorts of things. And just eating 1 to 2 grapefruits a day for an extended period, sometimes 2 to 3 months, you can actually see on scans that the fibers from the grapefruit and the phytonutrient contents of a grapefruit strip that arterial plaque. So these are things that we also want to be focused on. Now, I want to talk a little bit about nutrition, because I believe that a lot of people don't actually know what nutrition is or where it comes from. We kind of talk about nutrition and we think, meat's nutritious and it's a macronutrient, and plants are nutritious and they're, got all these different what are called phytonutrients. Phyto literally means light nutrition. But if we look at the actual word nutrition, which you should see here on your screen, it breaks into 2 parts. And nut comes from the Latin nux, which literally means light. And ration is a process of change. And there's a lot of information. There's even people out there saying the word nu, just NU, means light, which it does. And trition is also that process of change or transition. So nutrition is a process of change for light. And if you really get that, you'll really come to the understanding that light, E equals mc squared, energy is the foundation of all things. And we as beings have the ability to break down different structures to its original form of light in order to give ourselves nutrition. If you can imagine that getting certain frequencies of light shot into the cells are what's actually causing for those cells to grow, to live, to reproduce, and function at every level possible. This is a whole new understanding of nutrition and where it comes from. So if you think about that, the first source of nutrition is the sun. And I could go off on this about how getting out in the sun and getting that sunlight through the skin, your body develops nutrients inside of itself. Me and my dad were at an expo where they had what's called a hermetically sealed container of distilled water. And in this hermetically sealed container, meaning nothing can get in, nothing can get out, it's distilled water, which means there's nothing in it. It's just pure water. supposedly H2O. H2O is actually what's given off of water when it's boiled. But you have this empty container of water, and when it was put out into the sun for 20 minutes and then re-examined, they started to find minerals inside of this hermetically sealed container. So what I mean by this is when the sun passes through us, as it does, UV light, ultraviolet is a beautiful thing. It passes through us, and within our bodies, we develop nutrition. Now, we know on a scientific level that there are specific, supposedly essential amino acids and essential fatty acids that are needed for our bodies to function. But I think a lot of this, there's going to be a lot of breakthroughs even in these areas as well, as people are evolving and getting more into the sun and eating a lot less, fasting, pushing the limits of the human experience. We're going to start to see that there's actually a lot more nutrition coming from the sun and just drinking water than we ever thought possible. So as that light condenses into more solid matter, it goes from sunlight to liquids. So it goes, again, from light to gases. We breathe those gases transform into liquids. Those liquids condense and literally become minerals and different things through the process of E = mc squared. And then we have plants. And those plants literally focus one part of the spectrum of light. For example, an orange tree, using its leaves, takes in a massive amount of light, but it focuses all of the color orange. And that orange is called carotenes within the scientific community, which has the ability to reverse cancer, which has the ability to improve eyesight, which has the ability, in my opinion, to give you joy and life and vitality. And so that plant will focus this one light, one part of this spectrum, as an offering to us to give us very focused nutrition in different areas. Now, the digestive system, and if you look at the word digestion, it comes from the Latin die, which means to dissolve. Dying means to dissolve, and gest means to carry. So to carry and to dissolve matter. The process of digestion, its sole purpose is to take a plant, like an orange or an apple or greens or whatever it is that you're eating, and to dissolve it down to release the light frequency into the cells. That is the purpose of digestion, to receive light. And what I see happening in the world is quite the opposite. People eating things that are quite dark. People eating things that there's no amount of digestion that is going to give you an offering and a receiving of that light. And that's what we're here for. Every plant on the planet has a level of electrical life force as well. And if you want to have good digestion, we need that electricity from fresh fruits, vegetables, nuts, seeds, grains, tubers, legumes, mushrooms, all these different things that we have as foods carry an electric life force which creates what's called peristaltic action within the digestive system. That's what actually causes everything to ripple and to move and to keep things flowing. It's electricity. So you are totally tubular, and whatever you're floating down that main tube is going to determine whether you have a body, a system of tubes that's of life and light and health and free flowing, or is either backed up, blocked, congested, and leading to a situation of death. So, you've all heard the phrase, people live to eat, and that's really they're dying to eat, but people live to eat instead of eating to live. And the things that I'm teaching here are bringing back basic principles of eating to live. And when you truly eat to live and you start to bring the foods into our bodies that contain a massive amount of light in a very small amount of space, which are foods that are highly condensed with nutrition, pretty much every plant that exists that's edible, you start to realize that we actually require a lot less. There's actually a very small amount of food needed. And then we're eating to live. And when you do that and you receive these fibers that clean everything out and get your body flowing in all ways, when you receive the energy and the electrical life force, you're on fire. You're like dancing. You just happy to be alive. And I believe every person on this planet should have that experience of what it's like to just feel lively, to feel energized, to feel strong, to want to dance, to want to run, to want to jump, to want to move. And with all the confusion out there in the world of different diets and what you have to do and what kind of supplements you got to take and what kind of multi-level marketing company you got to sign up for in order to be healthy, and I don't mean to take the piss out of them. Like, there's some really good ones out there. But the reality is, whenever we get off track with making money, I believe that lies start to get perpetuated. Oh, there's no nutrients in the soil, so now you need this little pill. Oh, everything's so polluted and we're in such a bad state of health. Now you have to have all this other concentrated forms of crap. And in reality, what I'm seeing, looking through the research of T. Colin Campbell, Cornell University, Dr. Esselstyn, all these proponents that are out there, and even just looking through PubMed and different research, is showing that the more we move to supplementation and concentrations, the more we're congesting the system, the more we're actually causing more harm than good. And I believe that Mother Nature has it right, and she always has, and she's always evolving with us. For every problem that exists, there is a solution. And you could give me any problem that exists in the world where you think, the world's going to end because of this problem that we've created, and I could show you that Mother Nature has already designed a solution. And that's the truth. So the solution is there, and what is it? Well, it's the same solution that's always been around for thousands and thousands of years, and it's the process of digestion. It's the process of what are we putting in, and when are we putting it in, and how much are we putting in, and how are we doing it? There's traditions that have been handed down for thousands of years for a reason. There's a reason why in every religion they sit down at a table and they honor the food and they say a prayer and they bless the food. And people are in good company with each other. What if people actually sat down in good company with joy and gladness in their heart and truly in a humble space of gratitude for having an amazing meal in front of them? And I think we've lost track with this because food has been so available and so ubiquitous and pushed on us from every industry known to man. Even back from the early 1940s and 50s, free nutritional charts given to all the schools around the United States from the beef and dairy industry, saying you need to have a little bit of beef and a little bit of dairy every single day, and you had to have 2 square meals a day. And over time and distance, realizing they could make more money by telling you needed to have 3 square meals a day. And what does 3 square meals equal? It equals round. It equals people's waists expanding. It equals a congested colon, a toxic liver, skin conditions, tiredness, all types of issues because we're not honoring the body's natural cycles. And essentially, we're just stuffing ourselves full. And I don't care what it is. I don't care if you're eating the healthiest raw, fresh foods on the planet or whatever. If you're eating 4 or 5 meals a day, there's a level of congestion, a level of tiredness that's going to come from doing those sorts of things. And maybe if you really honor the food and you sit down, you chew really well, you have a lot of exercise and things you're doing, you could make that work. And like I said, the body can adjust to its environment in fantastic ways. But I would challenge those things, and I would say let's have a retro futurist. What does that mean? That means let's go back thousands of years and see what the most brilliant men and women were doing. Let's see what the longest lived cultures of people were doing. How much did they eat? When did they eat? The ancient Egyptians, the ancient Essene people that wrote the Dead Sea Scrolls. Let's look at Hippocrates and Socrates and Aristotle and Leonardo da Vinci and Pythagoras and look at the words that were coming out of these guys' mouths. And then let's go to the futurists and let's start to look at publicated studies of what intermittent fasting actually does. And there's so much information coming out. I love this because I would talk about these things 10 years ago and people would look at me like I'm a freak. And all of a sudden it's a fad for bodybuilders and athletes and people wanting to lose weight to do intermittent fasting. It's absolutely mind-boggling to me. And I can see where this is going. And so everything I'm about is continuing to promote this process, essentially, of cleaning our bodies out and evolving mentally, emotionally, and physically. And I do believe that we are physical beings. Pinch yourself if you don't think so. We are very physical beings. Okay, and yes, you get down to that's all energy and whatever, but our mental capacity brings us to the present state that we are physical beings, and you can see the plaque and accumulations and things building up in people's bodies. So it's important to really look at this on a daily basis, look at the things that we can do to clean ourselves out. So we have 4 channels of elimination. Number 1 is defecation, going poo. Some hot tips for defecation: be hydrated. Believe it or not, hydration is one of the best ways to lubricate the digestive system so that it's functioning properly. And look, I'll wake up in the morning, drink a liter of water, and yes, maybe have a cup of tea, and that causes me to have a good-sized bowel movement from the previous day. Just that hydration, that activation of filling my stomach from water is causing me to have a bowel movement. And so many people wake up in the morning. First thing in the morning, they start to eat food. They'll go down, make themselves some toast, have some coffee, and which is dehydrating. Coffee and caffeine is a diuretic. I'm not saying it's bad, but it's a diuretic. Meaning, yes, it'll help you go poo, which, yay, is a good thing, but it also causes you to eliminate water. So drink a cup of coffee and then drink a liter of water and watch what happens. That liter of water comes straight out. So what I'd recommend is that if you're drinking coffee or black tea or anything like this, drink your water first. First thing, every single morning, have a liter of water. If it takes you 20, 30 minutes, so what? Takes you an hour, so what? But wake up and drink water first. If you want to put some lemon into that, fantastic. Electrolytes, electricity, energy, certain fibers that go through the body and clean it out that are good for the lymphatic system. They clean the liver. Your liver's been detoxing all night. Have a little bit of that. You're definitely promoting that process of detoxifying the liver, hydrating your body. Amazing. If you want to add a couple pinches of salt, I use Himalayan salt, 86 different minerals. There's so much science and so many people out there just talking about how people are mineral deficient. Well, you don't need a supplement. All you need to do is add some salt to your water. There's plenty of minerals right there. And then when you eat food, eat a hefty amount of nuts and seeds and grains and different things. It doesn't have to be each every day, but at least once or twice a week, get something different and be eating that kind of food. You're going to load yourself with minerals. Urination. Obviously there's a lot of people these days that have incontinence, that have all kinds of urination problems, especially as they get older. People with kidney stones, all kinds of urinary issues. And really it comes down to the fact that people are putting in these toxic, thick, syrups of soda pop and all kinds of different drinks. And really we should just be drinking water. Or if you want to clean the urinary system, you can drink fresh squeezed juices, which are concentrations of all these phytonutrients. Grapefruit juice, orange juice, green juices, beetroot juice, all these things fantastic. But hydrating the system and having a flow of urination is one of the greatest ways to detox. And then sweating, I believe at least 3 to 5 times a week we should break a solid sweat. I try to do it every day. If I don't do it from exercise and working out, then I'll go sit in my infrared sauna and sweat it out, because it's also helping you to eliminate toxins. It's opening up your tubes. In the shower, 3-4 times a week, I'll do gua sha, which is bicarbonate of soda and vodka mixed together and scrubbing my skin. I can feel my skin open up and breathe. I swear sometimes I can just hold my breath and breathe through my skin. Even putting on a shirt afterwards feels like I'm suffocating myself. but really opening up the skin. And what does it mean to be healthy? What's the definition of a healthy person? And what I would say, because I'm an iridologist and sclerologist, and I've been trained in facial glyphics and in different reflex places on the body, I would say you can tell if someone's healthy simply by looking at their face, looking at all the lines and wrinkles and things, and all the acne, looking at the skin. If you were to come and look at my skin all over my entire body, I don't have acne. I don't have moles. I don't have skin tags. My skin looks healthy everywhere, on my toes, on my fingernails. My toes and fingernails look great. Everything is in order in the way that it should be. And if something is out of order, if you have moles, if you have skin tags, if you have pimples, if you have different things going on with your skin, it is not random. It is specifically tied to an internal organ or something happening within your body. And I'll admit it, I went to the United States. I just saw my family, of which I haven't seen in some 8 years. One of my brothers I haven't seen in 8 years. And yeah, I had a massive retox. Got to have something to detox, right? So I went there. I went to Las Vegas. I had some beers, had some drinks. Probably didn't eat the greatest food. Flew on airplanes for 18 to 20 some plus hours. And I could see on my face lines for my colon getting deep and groovy, which meant I was dehydrated. My digestive system was blocked. All these things were going on. And I can't tell you, I was just praying to get me out of the United States, because I've got so many brothers that I haven't seen for so long. It's like I had to kind of catch up and, have a good time with them to a degree. So it was a great time, but thank God for being home in Bali. And I could see literally I only got home, yesterday at about 1 o'clock in the morning, and I can already see these lines going away from doing my fasting, hydrating, working out in the gym, sweating, doing everything that I need to do to get my daily rituals back in order. Because that's what it comes down to, is those daily rituals, doing the gua sha in the shower, cleaning my skin. Feels like, I was cleaning out weeks worth of just toxic accumulation doing these rituals. And then the last is respiration. Are we conscious of our breathing? Take in a big, deep breath right now. Let it out. And just play along with me. Take a big, deep breath in. Let it out. One more time. Deep breath in. Let it out. Breathing. I do breathing exercises every morning. When I get some exercise, I'll do conscious breathing for 5 to 10 minutes while I'm walking. It might just be 5 seconds in, 5 seconds hold, 5 seconds out, and repeat. And I use my footsteps to count through that. All of these things are essential for my digestion. And I hope you get that. Walking is one of the best things you can do for digestion. Just that cross-patterning motion of walking is one of the best things you can do for depression, anxiety, mental disorders. You give me any person with a mental disorder and have them out in the sun walking for 45 minutes a day, and you'll see a massive improvement. All of a sudden, they start having bowel movements the way they should. You start giving them whole foods and fruits and vegetables, and their gut bacteria starts to change. And there's plenty of science now showing that it's our gut. It is the bacteria within our gut that affects the brain and mental conditions. And I can share plenty of those articles as well. And I've said from the beginning of time, as above, so below. If you're blocked and congested in your digestive system, you're blocked and congested mentally as well. And it's the one comment I get from people a lot of the times after doing a colon cleanse is they feel like a cloud's just lifted off their mind. Like all of a sudden they can think clearly. So something to think about. Now, how do you know if you have a good digestive system? How do you know if things are flowing correctly? And the way that you know is that you're going to have at least 2 bowel movements a day, and you should have a bowel movement after every time you eat a meal. Now, look, typically I'm into what's called 23-1, which is 1 meal a day, and I'll still have 2 to 3 bowel movements a day. But when it comes down to eating, the sign of good digestion is you'll have a bowel movement within 30 to 45 minutes, maybe sometimes an hour, hour and a half. But if you eat a good sized meal, you should be eliminating going to the bathroom within 30 to 45 minutes. And that's a sign of quality digestion. That means things are moving, things are flowing, and that's not the issue. So it really comes down to looking at that. Then there's, the quality. You can look at what it looks like, how it looks. I wouldn't get into that as much, but definitely looking at transit time. Because when you fill your stomach, it sends signals to the brain, it sends signals everywhere else to clear the digestive system of a previous meal. Just taking a drink of water here. So what I'd like to do now is simply get into some questions and answers. And if you guys had some questions specifically about digestion, I think that would be great. But we'll just see where this flows. Can you explain what a diuretic is again? Coffee. So a diuretic is anything that you take that forces you to go poo and pee. A diuretic or an emetic is something that causes you to eliminate. So coffee, because it contains a lot of caffeine in any form is a bit of a diuretic, which means it'll cause you to become slightly dehydrated, or it'll cause you to urinate more often. It'll also potentially cause you to go poo, if that makes sense, or even sweat, or even breathe deeper, because all of these are forms of elimination, and that's what diuretics do. So yeah, you could get diuretics in the form of certain herbs and things that force your body to move. You can get them in the forms of caffeine and different things. So the reason it's important when having a diuretic, especially if it's a daily habit like coffee or tea or something like that, it's very important to make sure you hydrate first. Because when you first wake up in the morning and you pour water down your throat, your brain's going to hydrate first of all through a process called osmotic precipitation. When water hits the stomach acid in your stomach, it's lifted through that process. Your whole body's going to hydrate properly. But like I said, if you had a diuretic first, then you drink water, it's most likely just going to flow through your body. Yes, you're still going to get somewhat hydrated, but not as much by having that diuretic. Now I'm just looking for different questions. I'm just going to pop on here and see if you guys can still hear me. I'll put your hands down. If you can still hear me, go ahead and raise your hands. Excellent. Okay, it may have cut out there for a little bit. I see a few people mentioning the sound cut out for a minute. Got a few more questions coming in. How long does it take to unclog a teenager? Okay, so this brings up something else. We're not just physical beings. We are also spiritual beings. We are also energetic beings. We have an energy body that nobody talks about. We have different bodies that exist that are attached to this. And so why I'm saying this is if we're stressed, and especially have specific stresses going on, especially in women I notice a lot, but in men too, the digestive system locks down. So it's important not only to look at when we're eating and how we're eating and what we're eating and getting the right types of fibers, but it's also important to look at, are we stressed? Are you running on adrenaline 24/7? Are you stressed out about your partner? Are you in anger, resentment, hatred? Are you in grief around something? Like, what's actually happening? And it's especially important to observe our own emotional state when we are eating food, when we're bringing offerings into this body. If I'm stressed and angry and yelling at my partner and eating something, that's the worst possible thing you can do, because you're also taking those emotional molecules and adding them into your body. You'll put on fat, and that fat, if you could grab the fat anywhere on your body, that's the emotional baggage that you're carrying that is stored emotions of anger, resentment, and all these different types of things. So I would say that, it's also very important to get into a practice of some form of meditation. Now, meditation doesn't need to be sitting there like a guru and meditation can be walking. Meditation could be lifting weights. Meditation could be martial arts. Meditation could be riding a bike. Meditation could be any form of something that you're doing where your focus is on that thing completely and wholly. It's focused on one thing and you're hopefully breathing consciously or unconsciously, but breathing deeply. So I just wanted to mention that. So to unclog a teenager, there's something called an enema, or there's something also called a colonic that can be absolutely fantastic for putting water up the rear and cleaning everything out. And I know this is very taboo to many people who have never done it. But the definition of ignorance is shunning something and having no knowledge of it. Once somebody actually goes through a process of doing enemas, like many people have at my retreats, for example, hundreds, probably thousands of people have come through my programs having never done an enema and were absolutely shocked when I said they needed to stick something up their butt and clean themselves out, and they swore they'd never do it. And then when they were coerced into finally doing it, having the most amazing experience ever of clarity and energy and the amount of crap that comes out, absolutely transformative. So to get a person to unclog a person, essentially, I would focus on apples, on prunes or prune juice, on apple juice, on really good forms of fiber, either from oatmeal or lentils and beans and peas and things of this nature. There's different kinds of fiber that exists in different foods. And essentially, Pulse has all 7 different fibers. So the little food that we sell called Pulse, which is something I love to snack on, I would say for me personally, I don't know about everybody else, but when I eat a good amount of Pulse for a meal, I notice my digestion immediately improves. And Pulse is the type of food that could be a meal replacement or a snack, but just having it instead of lunch every day for a week. If you're the type of person or you have a teenager that has digestive problems, have them eat literally a half to a full bag of Pulse for just one meal a day, and you'll notice within a week massive bowel movements and things start to move along. But you could use whole foods, apples, like I said, lentils, every type of fruit and vegetable essentially has really good fibers. But I find, apples are a really good one. Prunes are a really good one. There's certain sugars in prunes and dates and things like that that help with digestive movement and cleansing it out. Enemas, colonics. An enema is something you do typically at home, so it's a lot less embarrassing. But if they're willing to go do a colonic, colonics are probably a lot better unless somebody's really knows how to, take in the enemas in a certain way. And with enemas, you could do coffee enemas, which help to clean the liver by releasing bile. You could do wheatgrass enemas. You could do different kinds of enemas, maybe just with salt water, but also very cleaning to the body. And enemas go all the way back to ancient Egypt, as the ancient Egyptians observed the ibis bird, when it was sick, would stick its beak up its rear and spray water and clean itself out. Herodotus, the Greek, said that the Egyptians were the cleanest, most disease-free culture to ever exist. And for 4 days out of every month, they would spend, eating very specific fibers and clays, cleaning themselves out, and also administering enemas at the temples. At every temple in Egypt, there was very sophisticated means of administering enemas to the people. And that's what the priests did. Sounds crazy, but it's phenomenal, and you can look into it and find this information out. So, what else? How often do you recommend doing a coffee enema? I feel that my bowel is behaving in a lazy manner since starting enemas. Now, with enemas, it's a very good question. I appreciate that. I would only recommend doing enemas when you're constipated. If you're backed up, you're constipated, you can't go to the bathroom, do an enema. If you're doing a juice fast or a water fast, then I recommend doing enemas on a daily basis. But I don't personally do enemas. I don't need to do enemas. I eat a really healthy lifestyle. I eat in certain times, and I have really good bowel movements. The shape, the way it looks when it comes out, like I have really good bowel movements, so I don't need to. But to get there, there was a point where I used to have to do, my own type of colon cleansing literally every month. And I should probably do a colon cleanse now. I actually said I was going to do one when I come home, something I might consider. because of all the stuff I was eating, and I was totally out of my rhythm and everything in the U.S. I'll get back in. I'll do a colon cleanse again for about 4 or 5 days. But what I'm saying here is that if you want to have healthy digestion, I would recommend doing a colon cleanse. You can either do it yourself or you can order mine. Mine has all the good fibers, the clays that extract pesticides, herbicides, heavy metals, and different things. And it's only a 4-day process. There's enough in the bag. You could probably do it twice. And I'd recommend doing a 4-day colon cleanse and then nourishing yourself for a month and then doing it again. And doing that at least 3 months in a row. And I don't care where you at and what you think about your own digestion. Do the colon cleanse 3 months in a row, and you'll be absolutely shocked by what comes out of you. And by the 3rd month, if you're doing the right enemas and maybe even some other little protocols that I recommend, you'll most likely see parasites coming out, plaque coming out, all kinds of things coming out from years and years and years of accumulation. If it were up to me, I would have you do a 4-day colon cleanse every month for the rest of your life, unless you really adopt the most optimal lifestyle known to man, and you know that you're living the optimal way and everything is flowing the way that it should, then you really don't need to be doing it. But that's probably like a percentage of a percent of the people of this planet. Excellent. So I'm just looking through some more questions here. Someone just said, Donna Pessin, Unique Healing Book, is adamant that more than 2 bowel movements a day is unhealthy. Well, then I'm the sickest person on the planet. Can you repeat the gua sha mix again? Okay, so gua sha, you'd take a jar that's sealable. You'd fill it with about 80 to 90% bicarbonate of soda, and then you would add triple distilled vodka. It can be any brand, find a cheap brand, but triple distilled so it's clean. Add the vodka until it's totally saturated and there's about 1 centimeter of vodka on top. Then you would take like a body brush or a glove, like a loofah type of thing, scrubber, and you'd add about a teaspoon to a tablespoon size and scrub one limb, and you'd do that to every limb of the body, scrub the whole body with that mix. You get in the shower first, rinse off, scrub the whole body, and then obviously get back in the shower, rinse off, and do your regular thing, and then get out. And that's the process of gua sha. If you ask me on Facebook, send me a message, like my page, ask the question. I'll post the article about specifically how to do the whole process. D said, but green tea and herbal teas are okay rather than coffee and black tea. I would say that they're all okay, but hydrate yourself first. Buy organic, and just observe yourself and your own being and what works for you. I drank coffee for many, many years, and I know that coffee is too much for my nervous system, doesn't work for me. Maybe occasionally in a coffee enema or something like that when I'm fasting. But I do have black tea. So I have an organic chai type of tea, which is black tea with cloves, with cinnamon, with some different things mixed in it. And I use that tea mostly on a daily basis during this process of 23-1. And there's specific reasons for it. There's plenty of research around certain components in green tea and black tea that do some pretty profound things. And it's part of the lifestyle that I live. So just find out what works for you. And of course, when I fast, I typically will get off of any type of thing with caffeine and just have juices, maybe still have herbal teas. So I believe everybody at certain times should clean everything out, break all addictions, and see how you feel. And then if you feel like having these things again, just notice how your body reacts to it, and if it's positive or negative over time and distance. What else could be the problem? I've been feeling quite tired and am probably dehydrated, but have a pretty good diet. Also, I've recently got spots, which could be my body detoxing. If you have spots on your skin, again, I would recommend the gua sha for cleaning. It could be a parasitic thing, or it could be something quite different. There's multiple things that it could probably be. I'd need to look at pictures and ask you more questions about it. How long should I water fast to heal an enlarged liver? Well, first of all, I would focus on cleaning out the digestive system. because there's been excess toxicity from probably a backed up digestive system for a very long time. Then I would recommend most likely doing a juice fast rather than a water fast, and focusing on vegetable juices, but also lemon water, drinking 1 cup of lemon juice per day for about 30 days. But I would have to look at that a little bit more. And then, having herbal teas and things that are good for the liver, maybe milk thistle or dandelion, things like that during the fasting period as well. And I'm more inclined to have people do short fasts rather than doing long fasts more recently, just because I believe that there's a lot of autophagy, there's a lot of autolysis, there's a lot of cleansing that takes place, especially in the first week of fasting. So really getting into that, and then really looking at your lifestyle coming out of the fast, I believe is the most important. Because you raise your vibration so much, when you come out of a fast, it's easier to get into a healthier lifestyle. One a little bit more based on whole plant-based foods, and one more based on maybe intermittent fasting as well. Simone asks, do all people have parasites, worms in their colon? I wouldn't make a blanket statement and say all people have parasites, but I would say that if you've been eating animal flesh for a long period of time, that you most likely do. There's a parasitologist that wrote a book called Parasite Rex, and he says about 95% of the population most likely, he thinks it's more, but scientifically about 95% of the population has parasites. And you got to imagine that when you eat a fresh fruit or vegetable, it causes peristaltic action. It makes everything move. And if there was a worm in an apple, that worm is meant to live in a fruit. And if you eat it, it will die in your stomach. It'll die in your body. But if there's a parasite that lives in flesh, it is meant to live in flesh. So when you eat that flesh and consume it, the eggs of that parasite will hatch and then gather and then grow and build their own colonies of parasites within your body. And the main factor in parasites is transit time. Because even if I was eating a piece of pork that had a trichina worm that is deadly, that causes all kinds of brain issues and other problems, if I ate a piece of pork and those eggs of those parasites are in that pork, if I ate enough fruits and vegetables and my digestive system moved enough, I would eliminate that within 48 hours. And what the studies show is that when you don't eliminate all of that pork that you ate within 72 hours, that's enough time for that little egg to hatch, and then that little trichina worm to attach itself to your digestive system and then get into your other systems and everything else. So the most important factor in not having parasites is actually transit time. And the reason I say that most people that eat meat probably have parasites is, number one, they're introducing the eggs of parasites all the time, especially with fish. And because meat, animal flesh doesn't contain fiber, it tends to move a lot slower through the digestive system. So typically meat eaters have a lot slower digestive system, which is probably that lady Donna Pessin in the book. So she thinks a slow digestive system is healthy. But essentially, what it comes down to is if you can keep that free-flowing digestive system, whether you ate meat or not, you wouldn't develop new forms of parasites. But most people probably have them, so they need to do digestive cleansing. They probably should do a level of fasting for their body to go in and strip a lot of fat and a lot of excess waste and proteous things that are growing in different parts of the body, polyps and cysts and tumors and different things. Be good to clean all that out. And then living a lifestyle that is optimal for digestion and flow, then somebody could essentially still have a small amount of meat, in my opinion, and not have parasites, as long as the digestive system keeps flowing. And you want to look at that from an energetic perspective as well, emotional, relaxation, all of that, keeping things moving. What happens in your body when certain foods make you bleed? I'm assuming you're asking the question because you've seen blood coming out of your rectum, maybe in a poo, and that's most likely a polyp that has broken from eating certain foods, and then that bleeds. And if it's fresh blood, that's what it should look like, somewhat fresh blood, and that will actually heal over. But you have polyps because you haven't been eating an optimal lifestyle, and it's caused polyps or caused different things. Some people have anal fissures and different things that bleed over time, and these are all caused from stress, not pooing correctly as far as positioning on a toilet, pushing too hard, eating foods that don't have enough fiber, not being hydrated enough. All of these factors can lead up to bleeding in different parts and bleeding out. If you see fresh blood, I wouldn't freak out. I would just, modify your diet to be healthier. Where you might have a little more issues if you're seeing really dried, thick blood coming out, then you might want to go see a doctor or figure something out, because it might be a little more cause for alarm, essentially. But even in those cases, I'd recommend doing a colon cleanse, doing a fast, allowing the body to heal itself. So look, I have a lot of questions on here. I really appreciate you guys. On my Heal Thyself at Home program, I have webinars just for Q&A. Honestly, I wish I could answer everybody's questions, but I still want to give away this Heal Thyself at Home and tell you guys what you need to do to get the Heal Thyself at Home and be winners. So I'm going to do that in a minute. I will try to get through a few more questions. I have Hashimoto's disease, and I find it hard to lose the fat from my body. I am gluten, dairy, and processed sugar free. Could I do anything else? Of course, there's plenty you can do. I've worked with plenty of women, especially, and a few men with hypo and hyperglycemia, also Hashimoto's and different thyroid conditions, all of which I've seen improve, some of which I've seen completely reverse it. The only cases where I haven't been able to personally work with someone to the point of completely being off of medication is when they've had it cut out and then burned out, so they have no thyroid whatsoever. But in the case where you do have a thyroid, I believe 1,000% you can get back to a state of health. In these cases, it will typically take 6 months to a year, and it takes dedication. So thank you, Leanne, for asking. I would say to eat nearly a cup of mushrooms every single day. I would add seaweed into your salads. I would get into intermittent fasting specifically. I would look at the 5 Tibetan rites of longevity for movement, because that opens the pineal and the pituitary gland. It gets everything balanced. You also need to relax more, take up yoga, take up meditation, because when our body lives on adrenal function for our metabolism, it shuts down the thyroid, and the thyroid gets out of balance. So those are just a few things that I would really focus on: relaxation, nutrition, and unclogging the body through the process of intermittent fasting. And there may be a level of some form of fasting, maybe smaller meals, for a 7 to 10 day period, that you could explore as well. But I probably would need more information on that. Susan just said, yes, for colonics, I've done thousands of people and seen fantastic results. People need to get over the fear. It's an amazing system of cleansing. What is your take on GMOs affecting the digestive system? From what I've seen, GMOs do affect the gastrointestinal system of laboratory rats and mice. I'd have to look back into some research to give you some specific quotes, because I don't remember it over the top of my head. I think it's the American Academy of Environmental Medicine did very specific studies showing that it caused problems with the reproductive system in mice and rats, but also the gastrointestinal system of all the animals that were fed GMO soy, GMO corn, and different things of that nature. By doing enemas, would you still need to have a gallbladder and liver flush? Absolutely. If you need to clean the liver or the gallbladder, an enema is not going to really focus on that. It's more of the large intestine. The liver and gallbladder are very far back up the tract on the small, dealing with the small intestine specifically. So I would still recommend hitting it from both sides. Can I eat colon cleanse by eating it like porridge? Absolutely. That's what I do. The colon cleanse, in my opinion, was one of the best discoveries I've ever made. Because perfect example is every time I would travel, I would get a little bit off the track with my daily routine and rituals. I would eat colon cleanse literally for a couple of days, and it would help me to break those bad habits. It would clean my digestive system, and I'd be right back into wanting to live a healthier lifestyle. The colon cleanse for me is like food. You know, there were times where that's all I wanted to eat for the rest of my life because I felt so damn good eating it. I always eat it like porridge. You know, I put 2 tablespoons into a bowl, add some hot water and a little bit of honey, and I eat it just like that. I love the taste. Energetically, you have to say, I love you, I love you, I love you while you're mixing it, and it mixes fine, it tastes great. If you actually say, even in your mind, oh, I hate this stuff, I'm over this sucks, it won't actually mix. It's the craziest thing ever. And I've even had a lot of my clients, they'll try to mix it, and they're like, I can't mix it, this sucks, I hate this stuff. And I'll go over there and be like, okay, take a deep breath, try it again. Now mix it and say, I love you, this is amazing, I can't wait to eat this, and it mixes nice and smooth. It's absolutely crazy. Water is affected by our thoughts, it's affected by our emotions. Our bodies are composed mainly of water, so what you're thinking, what you're saying, what you're doing, what you're saying to others is affecting you in a very profound way. Become positive. Retrain your subconscious mind. I am strong, I am healthy, I am beautiful, people love being around me. I emanate and exude healthy energy. Say these things every day. Say it in the mirror. Say it on a walk. There's so many people that have programs running, negative self-talk running all of the time. You're creating your own sickness. So a major part of health is really using these types of things. Now look, I've gone over an hour. There's still plenty of questions here. I'm sorry, you guys. Please save your questions. Maybe we'll do just a Q&A webinar. We'll see what's planned for next week. If you have a chance, get onto my Heal Thyself at Home. Awesome program. We're going to do weekly just questions and answers webinars. I just want to open this up real quick to show you guys what 2 of you are actually going to win. Hopefully you can see this. This is the Heal Thyself at Home 13-week online coaching program on my website. It's like a nutritional degree, but you're also doing it while you're learning it. I don't know of any college or program on the planet that makes or has people, live the actual program while they're learning it, probably because they're teaching about pills and capsules and all this other stuff. But by living this, you gain the wisdom and understanding of what it means to be healthy. You learn everything by practice. So this is the 13-week Heal Thyself at Home, Preparing Whole Foods. Chef Cynthia has whole courses in here that are amazing. Removing toxicity, gaining awareness of all the things in the world, the principles of health, raw food detox, the inner work, which is all the energetic stuff that I share. My dad shares a lot of beautiful things in here as well. Knowing your body, when to fast, fasting for serious disease as opposed to just cleaning yourself out, how to heal serious disease, whole course on memory and imagination within there. So really cool. It's all online. Like I said, there's a Facebook group that supports the whole thing. There's info sheets that you can download and share in any capacity you like. You can share it online. Research for the past however many years for me and my father. So that's pretty much it. You can see the price here. The price by itself, Heal Thyself at Home, is $597 for that entire 13-week program for you to follow. If you want my colon cleanse and the 30 days of food, which the course is kind of designed to have all of that to go through it. I believe it's on the 5th week. You actually do 30 days of raw, which is something that I've done nearly every year for the last, I don't know how many years. And it's when I really feel energized and I really cleanse everything out. So with the program, it's $997. What I'm giving you guys today is the Heal Thyself at Home program by itself, $600 worth of value, and I'm giving that to you as a gift for being here. There's 2 people that are going to win it. Now, I want to make sure everybody can hear me because this is going to go quick. Can everybody hear me? Just raise your hand if you can hear me clearly. Yes, yes, yes. Okay, beautiful. So here's what we're going to do. What I would like you to do is go onto my Facebook and say, I love Tyler Tolman's Health Hit webinar, and post that to my page. Now, you can do this on my personal page only. Tyler Tolman, it's my personal page. Okay, I'm going to show you what that looks like here. You're probably already going and doing it. Now, here's the kicker. The 5th and the 13th person to post I love Tyler Tolman's Health Hit webinar is me wearing a cowboy hat in red, white, and blue. The 5th and the 13th person to post that on my wall are going to win the Heal Thyself at Home. So with that, get on it, do it, figure it out. It might take people 5 minutes. Don't think you're the slowest. Just get on there and do it. You might be the 5th, you might be the 13th person. Jump on there. I love Tyler Tolman's Health It webinar. We're going to pick the 5th and the 13th person. We'll send you a confirmation email. We'll tell everybody who it is next week that won the 13 weeks. I'll welcome you in. You can join the webinars, weekly webinars of questions and answers. You'll receive all that information. You'll be in the Heal Thyself at Home Facebook group where we're all talking and sharing information and evolving. And with that, I just want to say thank you to all of you for being on this webinar. I really appreciate it. I've gone over an hour. I love you, and we'll see you next week. Have a beautiful, beautiful weekend. Tyler Tolman, signing off.